A very good morning to you. You're watching Newsline this morning. Today we are going to move away from the usual topics we talk about, things like politics and corruption, and we are going to talk about how one person has been able to take social media and in a way promote what she does here in our country. Some would say this is the first time this happened, and thereafter people have started following this particular lady. We are going to talk to our very own Melissa Dharmadasa, who has once again, as I said, taken social media and monetized it, if I may put it that way. Good morning to you, Melissa.
Good morning, Chathuranga. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Great to have you. I'm told that this is your first time on a live program.
This is literally my first time live. I've only ever done live on Instagram, so yeah.
So we'll get to the topic straight away, Melissa. Now, everyone talks about your famous coffee shop, situated very close to one of the contentious companies involved in the bond scam also, but let's not go there. But my point is, everyone talks about it.
Yeah.
When it began, how did you think of this concept to get social media involved to get your business going?
Okay, so if I'm being honest, how this whole thing started for me was, it was very random. It wasn't something that was actually planned.
Right.
See, when I moved back to Sri Lanka in 2011, I found it very difficult to actually find a job in my field.
Right.
My field was biomedical sciences. I was actually working in London when I moved back over here. And after I moved back, I was, I don't know, you would have heard of GSK Pharmaceuticals, so I was working there temporarily. But for some reason, it was just not something that I was able to stick on with, and baking has always been a massive hobby of mine. You know, I've done it since I was a child. And this whole thing started with a charity bake sale that I did, and I just created an Instagram profile. I mean, you know, everyone's on social media these days, and it was always Facebook, Facebook, Facebook.
Yeah.
But like, we had just got on Instagram at this point, and I literally just created an Instagram page to separate my baking pictures from my personal profile. Bella is actually my nickname. The hashtag was free. So we're like, okay, you know, let's go with it. And yeah, that was pretty much it. At that point, when I started putting up pictures, people thought I was selling. I was like, I might as well, I don't have a job, so okay.
So when this whole thing started, as you said, Instagram is not so popular among, like Facebook. There are a lot of, the age gap is very high in Facebook, and when it comes to Instagram, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So your target audience is?
So when I started, my age dynamic was actually really young. Like, my dynamic would start from around the ages of like 10, 11. You know, the kids that were just getting on, you know, social media. So as I started off, like I was saying, it started with the teens, and now that I've gotten into a cafe, it's going into the millennials and the older segment, which is great. So
still, if I go on Instagram and have a look at your profile that you have for your Bakes by Bella, there's a lot of movement there. There's a lot of things happening.
That's what I absolutely love about Facebook in comparison to, love about Instagram in comparison to Facebook, because the fact that it's instant was something that really worked at the start, because the moment it's uploaded, you see it, it's there, you want it, you get it. That was how I was able to monetize it at the start. It was excellent in terms of traction, but recently Facebook brought over Instagram, so the algorithms changed, and as a result, you don't see pictures as instantly as you used to.
Right.
So I would say, as that happened, it took a little time to try to understand the new algorithms, but you know, we worked around it.
So now with your social media getting bigger day by day, do you have a team handling it, or do you handle it by yourself?
No, me and my partner, who's my husband, we handle it ourselves completely.
So that brings me to the next question. Your husband is also in the studio with us today. How is the support that you get from your family and your husband to do all this?
Great, because I think if I didn't have them supporting me from the very start, I really wouldn't have been able to, you know, I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into this kind of thing, and It can get pretty exhausting, you know, especially when you're like in the process of trying to build it. So it was, I mean, if I didn't have Mahesh's support and understanding in this, I don't think I would have seen it through.
Now, to get to the serious part of this conversation.
The serious part, okay.
When did you occupy the building in
where I am right now? So I'm on rent.
I'm assuming you'll have to have very deep pockets to afford something somewhere around there. But
no, my God,
let's not go there. But yes, when did you?
We opened the cafe in February 2017. And so as of this year, it's just been a year since it's been opened. But so we just had the front bit, and it was mainly just cake and coffee. That was my focus. But we realized that the footfall was just getting a little overwhelming, and something I really hated is having to tell a customer that they don't have a space to sit and have a cup of coffee. You know, it's a cafe. That's when we decided to expand, and there was a backspace. We expanded inwards, so now we actually we've expanded into the dining space that serves high tea and dinner as well.
Right. Yeah. There is also another company. There are 2 floors.
Correct. So the top floor is iFlix.
Yes, Melissa. There are a lot of people who are trying to get into this thing where they sell products on Instagram. Mainly food products. You know, when it comes to a country like Sri Lanka, there are health issues, things like that. How can you be sure that your institution does not have any problem of that sort?
Problem of the sort?
Health issues. Quality of the product that you sell to the customer.
For me, something that I've always been is consistent with my product. From the time, see, when you start small, when you start in your house, you know the care you put into that one product. So something that I have carried on up to date is that consistency in it. Yes, my team is bigger. Yes, the operation is bigger now, but the consistency of the product stays the same. So when it comes to health and safety, the quality has always been maintained, because I only bake with the best of the ingredients.
How many people works for your team, Melissa?
I have 15 under me now.
And you started with just one person?
Me. Yeah.
So rapid development few years.
I started this in 2014.
Yeah.
So yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
So
4 years, sorry.
Once again, lots of people are trying this same thing out on social media, especially on Instagram. If you go and have a look, I have a few friends of mine who are also doing the same thing. I'm going to ask from you a message for them at the end of the program. But for now, any tips that you can give?
Okay, so something that I've always noticed is when I started out, the fact that this became successful is that I was determined to grow it organically.
Right.
Growing your base organically is so important if you want to monetize what you're doing. Because see, I've seen a lot of profiles that actually buy their followers, but this is an artificial following, which means that the profiles that follow you are essentially ghost profiles. So it's not necessarily going to translate to a sale. Whereas if it's an organic following and you build it from scratch and you have the patience to do it, that is your, you know.
So we are only talking about Instagram here. What about the other social media applications?
So I am also on Snapchat. I have quite a good base on Snapchat as well. I have quite a base on Facebook too, but I am not particularly a massive fan of Facebook, because if I am to just analyze a few stats between Instagram and Facebook, I would get 10 times more the sale than I would on Instagram than I would from Facebook.
Do we have that many Instagram users in our
Oh my God, it's massive. I'm on 47,000 at the moment.
47,000.
Yeah.
Do you know who the highest Instagram?
In Sri Lanka, see, artists, they have like mad following on Instagram.
47,000.
But that is, now see, I am just a baker, so I am probably I was one of the first bakers to start on Instagram. So Also, I think it worked because it's not just the product. It's also focusing on lifestyle, the aesthetic side of it. You know, you eat with your eyes first. So, whereas with the artists over here, they go into the hundreds of thousands. They have a massive follower base. But again, in the case of food, I think the whole package is something that's really important so that you keep the viewer entertained and not bored.
So do people come to you and talk to you and ask you for advice to, you know, because a lot of young people want to get into business and they look at part-time jobs, so on and so forth. So do you see people coming and
I get a lot of DMs, actually, direct messages onto my Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And a lot of, like you said, a lot of it is from young kids who want to do something but have been pushed to do something else.
Right.
Kids who are in between trying to decide which degree they want to choose and which path they want to go down. I get a lot of messages from young moms who want to pursue their dreams. So like it's nice to be able to know that they reach out to you for advice, you know, so yeah.
Once again, going back, I'm revolving us around this whole point where the youth of this country, young people want to get involved in things like this, and it seems, in a way, if I may put it this way, it seems like it's a shortcut. Am I right in saying that, or is it?
Okay, so it's not, I don't see it as a shortcut, because when I started on it, it was definitely not easy building that base. Once you build that base, yes, it makes your life a lot easier, because I have literally spent zero on advertising, because being on Instagram, using these tools that are available to you for free, especially when you're a startup, is something that's hugely beneficial to you. You know, especially that's why, like, kids, for example, can start on a platform like this, which is again a great foundation, simply because you don't incur any startup cost, and most of us don't have that. You know, when you're starting off. So in terms of traction, I think it's something that works wonderfully, and I don't think it's a shortcut per se, but it's definitely a more economical way of dealing with it.
We have to go into a short commercial break, but before that, a short answer to this question. We are going to, on the other side of the break, I'm going to talk to you about, from a business point of view, how you have been able to develop this within 4 years to the extent you have developed it. But before we go into the commercial break, a short answer here. Now, you yourself said 47,000 followers on Instagram, and a lot of people come and talk to you. Do you genuinely like what you have achieved?
Do I like what I've achieved? Yeah, I love it.
With that, we'll ask her why. We'll come back after this short commercial break. Stay with us, you're watching Newsline. Welcome back, you're watching Newsline. We are in conversation with Melissa Dasa, and we are talking to her about how she has been able to take social media and get it into a way to promote what she does as a business. Now, Melissa, we spoke about you as a person and how you came into things, and the social media and how you've used it. Let me take the flip side of that and take a look at your institution as a business altogether. In Sri Lanka, if you take a look at all of these startups, lots of startups die at the root because they do not have proper guidance, proper way to get into things. How did you overcome this, first of all, and how do you think that Sri Lanka can move ahead while rectifying all of this in the pipeline? Okay, so
you know, when I started this, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I'm absolutely rubbish with numbers. Numbers are not my thing at all. I am a creative, and that's what I'm best at. If I was doing this solely by myself, it would have died. Because, you know, I'm good at one thing, I'm not good at everything. That's where the support of my partners, and my partner comes in because he's excellent with his numbers. So I get to focus on the creative aspect of it while he focuses on the numbers side of it. And that in turn works really well. And as a result, I mean, two minds are always better than one. So I mean, I'm lucky that when I started this, I didn't start it alone. Otherwise, yeah, that's usually what happens.
So the second part of it, so you feel that there is a need for Sri Lanka as a whole, a country, to take a look at how these startups work, because there's a lot of talent dying out.
Massive, yeah. And it's unfortunate because a lot of that talent does die out because they don't have the proper guidance. Now, I know as a creative, I can be very eccentric.
Yeah.
But if I don't have somebody to constantly keep me in check, I get so eccentric, it'll be gone like that.
Yeah.
So that's where that guidance comes in. That's why startups need to focus not just on their product, but also how they're going to make their product work.
What is your competition like?
My competition. So to be honest, when it comes to competition, I don't like to consider anyone as competition, because for me, my message is solely that I work relentlessly to compete with myself, because I'm my biggest critic. So I know when I do get a review on something being good, that's not good enough for me. I want it to be great. So yeah.
So other coffee shops that have been established names in the country, you said you've only begun in the process has been 4 years.
Just been
they are using your own technique. They have also come into social media.
A lot
and
of
they're
the
a
places,
bit more stronger than you are.
Yeah.
So how does that work for you?
So basically, see, a lot of the places that were already existed, they did get on social media recently, I would say. And yeah, a lot of the places like, I don't know if I mean, for me, some of the places that are on there, yes, it's great. They do have a great presence because they've been around for a lot longer. But also, see, when something gets too commercialized, you kind of lose that cozy, homely feeling to it. And something I've never wanted to lose and always maintain is that homemade with love thing. So that's why I never wanted to get too big too fast. I wanted to always remain, keep it at a level that I was able to control it. So yeah, even though these places have been around for a lot longer and they've just got on like social media, and they probably would have a much bigger base for the purpose of being around longer. What I have is more of a cult following. And that loyalty is something that's crazy.
So your customers who actually do come into your shop, they look at your products on Instagram, on social media, and they decide to come there. What is the customer base like, and how is rush hour working for you? How does that happen?
So our weekends are absolutely insane. Like it's crazy busy. Sometimes it gets really overwhelming, but it's overwhelming in a great way because, like I said, when I started off, our base was quite young, but now we're getting into the older market. So they're a little fussier than the kids, but you know, we're working around that. So yeah, but it's challenging, but it's a great challenge.
So your marketing has only been on social media, or have you tried other avenues out as well?
All this time, it's been solely on social media, and then there have been obviously a lot of paper articles and stuff that have been written on us, magazine articles, online articles. So that all, you know, that's all kind of helped in spreading the word around as well. So, and they've approached us, which has been great.
So location of your store is, as I said, located very close to a company that we don't want to mention. But other than that, it is, if I may put it that way, a residential area and not a office area.
No, I mean, there are a few offices in the area, but there are a few eateries, and it's quite a residential. It's a nice chilled out space.
That location has not been disadvantageous to you?
No, the location has been prime.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, once again, we know that social media and how things happen, promotions happen on social media is not exactly looked with bright eyes here in Sri Lanka. The people have a certain way of looking at things here in Sri Lanka. When it comes to social media, have you had any issues like that, the negative feedback, if I may put it that way?
Yeah, I mean, along with the multitudes of fan mail that I get, I also get a fair share of hate mail. It was difficult at the start to deal with it. People enjoy body shaming and trolling to a different level. But now I've learned to combat it a lot better. It's just the best response is no response. So, yeah.
Once again, you told me at the outset, or just before we began this program, I think that you do not watch local television.
Yes, because I don't have a TV in my house.
I think you should talk to your husband about that.
No, the reason I took it out was because there was too much gaming going on, okay? So I had to take it out.
Right, my next question is about Sri Lanka, and I do not know how you're going to find an answer for this, but I'm going to go ahead anyway.
Great.
Sri Lankan politics.
Oh dear, why? We had this conversation.
Is it ignorance is a bliss, or do you have a political inclination, or how does that work?
I voted for the first time this time. It was great.
That's all you have to say about politics.
Yeah.
All right. Let's.
You don't want my input.
Now, getting back to why I asked you a political question was a lot of youth is gathering at your organization, and where there are people of that age group, they tend to talk about things, and politics is also a topic that a lot of people are talking about, and in fact politicians also now use your technique to go on Instagram just before the election.
Fabulous.
When I'm referring to your organization, how is the atmosphere there? I have to apologize first of all. I haven't been there. My friend works on your top floor, so I've gone past. But how is the atmosphere like?
It's really, it's that very chilled out cafe vibes. Because something I missed a lot in this country was a place to just sit, read a book, not be disturbed. Free Wi-Fi. So this was a space that I created from a memory that I missed. So it's a very chilled out space. It's a no judgment zone. You could do whatever you want. No one's going to judge you.
Once again, I keep on asking this question from you because getting a few text messages from my friends as well.
Okay.
How would you suggest if you're a mother? Or if you have some young kids coming up to you and saying, look, we are going to do this business, and do you know of a better way that they could have started off than you?
To be honest, there are a lot more tools available now than there was when I started. But one of the most powerful social media tools that I've ever come across has definitely been Instagram. And I would vouch for it, but again, staying authentic to what you're doing is super important. Yeah. And also that interaction, the content, all this goes hand in hand with what you want to promote on your page, And making a page more of a lifestyle page rather than just a product page also is something that really contributed to this.
Being a female entrepreneur, that also has a message there itself, how women can be strong and independent and so on and so forth. We have to also give a message out to lots of females who want to be entrepreneurs. A lot of barriers, if I may put it that way, in our country, that the country is now looking at breaking away from.
Sure.
Message to our female entrepreneurs?
So, to be honest, I don't consider myself to be an entrepreneur yet. I like to think of myself as a small-time business owner. I will be an entrepreneur at some point. Modesty is everything. And if you want a message, I would say, reiterating what I mentioned before, relentlessly competing with yourself to be the best version of you is something that can move mountains. Because if you have that confidence and faith in yourself, opinions of others are not going to make a difference.
When you say be the best version of you, how do you judge yourself to see?
For me,
to say that this is where I am right now and this is where I want to be? How do you do that?
okay, so how I do it is for me, right now, yeah, it's good, but it's just never enough. I am always constantly striving to be bigger and better. So yes, I may be here now. I wasn't here 3 years ago. 3 years ago, did I expect to be here? No, I didn't. Usually this is a person's 5-year plan.
Right.
But this was, you know, a 3-year thing that came into light. So I think in my case, I pushed myself so much, and also having the right people around me to push me in that direction is something that makes me always, like, now I know, yeah, I did this when I thought I couldn't.
Yeah.
If I keep pushing myself, what would I reach next? So for me, I know that the only way I could make a difference in anything is if I just keep competing with myself.
Future plans for you and your organization?
Okay, so like I mentioned, I didn't expect all this to happen within 4 years, right? This would have been my 5 to 10 year plan, but it happened in 3. But future plans, I mean, I've got a few offers to actually franchise, which is great, but again, I like to focus here first and do it well here first, and then focus on another country.
That's a huge leap in 3 years if you have that much.
Yeah, I actually got 3 offers. So I was, you know, it's a huge ego boost, but I was like, no, not right now.
But does that take the core concept away from your store, the homeliness? Will that happen?
My biggest worry, that I won't be able to be in 2 places at one time. And for me, I am a micromanager. I micromanage everything. My husband got me a manager, and now I micromanage my manager. So, you know, it's complicating sometimes. But yeah, you're right. That's always been at the back of my mind, thinking, okay, is this going to take away from it because I'm not going to be there personally all the time? So
we have quite a lot of questions coming in, but I'm going to stick to this one question. Do you have any intention of getting into politics?
Politics? I've understood that to get into politics, you need to be very fluent in your Sinhalese. I mean, I'm okay, but I don't want to be like that.
If that is your only barrier, I think there can be ways that can be arranged for you to get your Sinhala.
Trust me, you don't know the.
So that is not a no.
Oh my God, no.
Right. As I mentioned early on in the program, we have to give out a message for all the people who are watching you, your fans, your customers. What can you tell them before we wrap up?
I'd first like to start off with a massive thank you, because if it weren't for my fans and my followers, this would have never been possible. They are the guys that made this possible. So massive thank you to them, and also keep doing you.
So the final takeaway from all of this is, when you start, you have to have a good partner, is what you mentioned. So a good support, the guidance, and then also you, as we went along, you said that you know, be the better version of you, and that is also important. So finally, the final takeaway is Melissa has been successful in doing what she does in about 4 years, and we also have to keep in mind that if we are being ignorant if we leave aside the social media developing in our country. I think I'm right in saying that a lot of people are getting into this social media
now,
game,
which is great
for us as a country, and still we have certain barriers for especially women coming into doing business, especially youth coming into business. So if we take away all of those things, we can maybe once again be a developed nation and move away from that developing nation to a developed nation. So thank you very much for watching this morning's Newsline. We have taken away from politics, corruption, and matters like this, though I asked whether Melissa wants to be a politician. Thank you very much once again, Melissa, for being here with us this morning.
So lovely being here. Thank you for having me.
That's all we have for you this morning. Mr. Farah Shaukat Ali will be joining you next Monday at 7 a.m. with an interesting guest, I'm assuming. Thank you very much once again for watching. Take care.